Hello everybody, and now here's the next poem. It's called Buchanan's Terrible Ordeal. Remember the character from the Henderson kids? I have actually used to have, never had an obsession, never carried out, but I used to sort of have an obsession. I don't anymore though, and I would like to be a better entertainer than this. Let's have a listen. After Brains left the Hendersons to pursue a life of pro skateboarding, he left with some evil bikies who hates children, so they can be known as bike witches. And Brains, who thought was driven to the skateboarding comp, suddenly found himself locked in a room and forced to sit up like an adult. And he was only 14, but he lost his child look because he was like a metal pole from a children's swing set. Brains yelled out the words "help!" and no one can hear him. But Brains was kidnapped. He thought it was the 80s. You don't kidnap young skateboarders in the 80s. But when the duct tape was put on his mouth, he struggled a bit. But when Brains knew he was doomed, so he didn't struggle at anything, Brains' parents were rung by his captor, demanding they pay the 13 ransoms, and if they want to see their little skateboarder free. But this kidnapper is best known for getting what he wants, going back on his word, getting what he wants, kind of thing. And that meant Brains could be killed at any moment, and he had to scream when his parents came to make the first payment. But he was kidnapped finally, and Brains had to realise that this is the end. The parents heard their son, which meant that they will hear from their son again, so they mustn't try any funny stuff, because having their boy back is better than losing him this way. So Brains really was scared, but his parents were scared too in 3 days. The second ransom demand was being processed, and then the parents were 15 minutes late, and even when they arrived, Brains was hung by the neck, and the rope was so tightly around his neck, Brains thought he was going to die tonight. And his parents said, "Let our son go. Just leave him alone, and we'll call the police." But there was one problem there. Brains' parents left, but they kept on getting letters in the mail threatening to kill Brains, and also coming after them. And the parents paid the ransom 3 weeks earlier, so he doesn't kill their son. The kidnappers were happy, and they refrained in killing Brains, but they still are going to keep him kidnapped if they have to make future payments. And Brains was scared, and yes, the parents encouraged to call the police, and they did. And the police banged on the door, and the kidnapper came in and tried to stop them taking Brains away. So they shot at Brains, and it got him in the heart. But he didn't die, and life-saving heart transplant was his only call. Yes, Brains was free, and the kidnapper is behind bars where he belongs for a long time. That was a very great story. Sometimes with those stories, they have a lot of happy endings. That certainly did. No, the kidnapper got his just desserts.